Popping everybody, SOKENT in the building. Make sure you click that subscribe button, thumbs up the video, and most importantly, leave a comment so I can get back to you. Now, today we're going to be talking about boxing news. Now, last night, Shawn Porter defeated Danny Garcia by a unanimous decision. And in my opinion, I was shocked about that because I personally feel like the fight was a draw. But if it wasn't a draw, I would have gave Porter about 2 rounds. But the topic we're talking about today is Errol Spence. So after the fight, there was a press conference. Errol Spence was at the press conference, and he was asked about Terence Crawford. So when he was asked about Terence Crawford, Errol Spence basically said that Terence Crawford's whole resume is shaky. He basically said, look, he hasn't beaten anybody at 147. The only person he's beat is Jeff Horn. I think Manny Pacquiao beat Jeff Horn. Other than that, his resume is trash. There's no reason why anybody should be acting like Terence Crawford is the king at 147. He even went as far as to diss his promoters, which is Bob Arum and ESPN, basically saying that, listen, I don't see me fighting anybody signed to ESPN. If Terence Crawford really wants to fight me, he needs to come to the other side of the street, come get with Showtime, because Showtime just signed a new deal with Fox News, and not Fox News, Fox Sports, and he's basically saying that it don't even really make sense to even negotiate a fight with Terence Crawford at this point. And this entire press conference, Errol Spence was basically criticizing everybody that Terence Crawford has fought so far, basically saying that, hey, look, even Terence Crawford's next opponent, I sparred with him and I beat him down. And everybody at the press conference was just laughing. Everybody was agreeing with him. You know, Errol Spence was talking this shit. Now, I personally think Errol Spence was drunk. So everything that came out of Errol Spence's mouth, it was the truth. It's how he feels. I actually agree with a lot of things that he said. But also, you have to look at it from this perspective. Errol Spence's resume at 147 isn't the best either. You know, I say this all the time. If you look at Errol Spence's fight with Kell Brook, right? Before Kell Brook fought Errol Spence, he had a very, very tough fight with Triple G. Now, if you watch that fight with Triple G, Kell Brook actually hurt Triple G in that fight. He landed a couple of solid shots on Triple G, but obviously Triple G is the bigger guy, the stronger guy. He's a heavy hitter, and he ended up messing up Kell Brook's orbital bone. And after that fight, there was rumors that Kell Brook might not even be able to box anymore. So right after that fight with Triple G, Kell Brook took a fight with Errol Spence. And I want everybody, before you comment and you say that I'm lying, go and don't watch the highlights. Go watch the full fight with Errol Spence and Kell Brook, and tell me Kell Brook did not win those first 6 rounds. If you don't think he did, you're fucking crazy. Kell Brook was winning the first 6 rounds against Errol Spence. What happened was Errol Spence ended up messing up Kell Brook's eye. And remember, I just said he almost had a career-ending injury with his orbital bone in his eye. Errol Spence ended up messing up the other eye, and we all know once you injure one eye, the other eye is very prone to get injured as well, because those two bones obviously are connected, right? So Errol Spence was closing up Kell Brook's eye, and it got to the point where Kell Brook literally could not see out of his right eye. So because of that, he was having a tough time not only defending himself, but he was having a tough time throwing accurate punches. And obviously, the fight ended up being stopped because Kell Brook could not fucking see. So, with that being said, we can't just let Errol Spence come out here and say, oh, listen, Terence Crawford's record, you know, it's wishy-washy, he hasn't done anything. Errol Spence is a great fighter, right? I personally think until Keith Thurman can get his ass back in the ring, Errol Spence is number 1 right now at 147, period, right? So a lot of the things he said was true. All I'm saying is this. The same thing that we're seeing Errol Spence do to Terence Crawford, This is the same thing that everybody was doing to Errol Spence. Remember when Errol Spence wanted to fight everybody and he was saying he was the king? We seen Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia say, listen, Errol Spence hasn't done anything. He hasn't fought anybody. So it's kind of hypocritical, but at the same time, I agree with Errol Spence on a lot of points. I personally think Errol Spence will beat Terence Crawford if they were to fight right now, but I honestly just don't think it makes sense at this point. So Terence Crawford has responded to Errol Spence, and you can see it in the video. I'll put it up. Yeah, you were drunk last night, boy. No way you are the A side. I'm the A side, dummy. You talking about I haven't beat anybody. Who the fuck have you beat, basically? You know, you guys can read it for yourself. But basically, Terence Crawford is saying, listen, man. You know, he in another tweet, Terence Crawford said, you saying that you get paid more than me. I guarantee you after I take my taxes off, my checks is bigger than yours, because obviously Errol Spence was criticizing Terence Crawford for being with ESPN and also saying that boxing is politics. Like, listen, if you guys want this fight, you need your boy Terence Butt Crawford to bring his ass to Showtime. And I respect that. But listen, point blank period, these guys are going at it. Obviously, Terence Crawford didn't like what Errol Spence said last night, because he basically criticized his belt. And even in the tweets, you can see Terence Crawford say, have you won any championships in any other weight divisions? And that was a great response, because it's true. You can say what you want about Terence Crawford, but let's be honest, guys. A lot of fighters have ducked Terence Crawford, just like a lot of fighters have ducked Errol Spence. So Errol Spence, if anybody, he should be the last person saying that Terence Crawford's resume is a little critical. Now, if we're saying he hasn't done anything yet, it's true. He hasn't. But we do know that Terence Crawford has wanted a fight with Manny Pacquiao for a long time. And I believe that Manny Pacquiao did not want that fight, because Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford are signed to the same promoter. So if they wanted that fight to happen, it would have happened a long time ago. So it's interesting. I think boxing is in an amazing place. You know, 147, in my opinion, is the most entertaining boxing weight class right now. And we're going to have to wait to see what happens. Obviously, Shawn Porter plans on fighting Errol Spence next. Hopefully, we can see Keith Thurman come back with a tune-up fight. And hopefully, after Terence Crawford's next fight, we can finally see Terence Crawford and Errol Spence get in the ring. Because at this point, I personally feel like at this point, it's just chitter-chatter. You know, if you guys aren't going to meet up and actually see each other in person, I think all of the sneak dissing and shit is corny. But obviously, you know, it is hyping up their potential fight, which could happen next year. It could definitely happen next year. But I see Errol Spence taking a fight with Mikey Garcia before he takes a fight with Terence Crawford. But let me know what you guys think. SOKENT, I'm out. Skirt.